Item number SCP-1703. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-1703 may be kept in a 35 cm by 35 cm by 35 cm fiberglass cube with walls at least 8 mm thick that's padded with a thick layer of black industrial foam on the outside. The interior of the cube is to be painted black with an opaque paint. The cube may be opened and closed with a metallic hinge mechanism. It may be kept locked with a simple combination lock and stored in secure storage among other safe SCPs. X-ray analysis may be conducted on the object at any time as long as it remains within the box and the box is not opened. Experiments which involve removing SCP-1703 from its container require approval from the site director. Description: SCP-1703 is similar in appearance to a lit 60-watt incandescent light bulb. It was recovered from the wreckage of Cold Springs Fitness Center following Incident 1703-1. An employee of the club that was absent during Incident 1703-1 reported that the object was already noted among the staff for being apparently impossible to turn off, but this was attributed to faulty wiring rather than any anomalous properties. Due to the object being located in a high-traffic area, a decision was made to leave it alone until it burned out. Despite its appearance, SCP-1703 is not a light bulb at all, as it seems to lack any visible filament. Access to electricity has no observable effect on its function. The source of its glow is a walnut-shaped core, which has been determined to emit small amounts of radiation across the entire electromagnetic spectrum, the strongest being in the visible light range. SCP-1703 weighs exactly as much as an ordinary light bulb of its size, without filament. Little else is known about it at this time, as it is difficult to determine the core's features and composition without destructive testing. Site Director's note: attempts to remove the core from inside its hull are expressly prohibited at this time. SCP-1703's anomalous effect acts on most solid and opaque objects illuminated directly by its visible light for at least 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Materials transparent to visible light seem to be immune. Affected objects undergo a 2-week period within which they will lose up to 20% of their weight, despite not actually losing any mass. Approximately once every 6 months, SCP-1703's glow rapidly intensifies into a brief, intense flash. All objects caught in the flash that were previously affected by SCP-1703 appear to become inversely affected by gravity. They fall upwards, accelerating and reaching terminal velocity as a regular object of a similar mass would in free fall. Due to being repelled by all gravitational fields, such objects eventually leave Earth's atmosphere and the solar system. SCP-1703 is completely immune to its own effect. Incident 1703-1 Site Inspection. Compiled by Agent Fisher. Minutes after object recovery. Cold Springs Fitness Center is located 3 kilometers east of... It is approximately 500 meters away from the main road, surrounded by trees. The privacy of the location, as well as rumors of unnaturally rapid strength growth, contributed to a recent surge in its popularity. Records show that in the last month, the number of active subscriptions had increased by 45%. Initial readings show trace amounts of gamma radiation. The soil appears to be the source. Testing indicates that the air is unusually dust-free compared to surrounding areas. Much of the curbside around the club is disturbed due to the uprooting of a large number of trees. The displaced plants in various states of destruction are either lying in the parking lot or floating 20 to 30 centimeters in the air. Pavement in the parking lot appears to have been torn off in rectangular strips, and areas of destruction outside the club are consistent with positions of windows and SCP-1703's projected radiation through those windows from where it was originally installed as a light fixture. The destruction radius extends to approximately meters from the object, although its electromagnetic radiation stays visible and coherent over much longer distances. A circle can be drawn around the incident location, connecting the farthest points of SCP-1703's effects. Most of the club's ceiling is missing. Intact beams show signs of metal fatigue, suggesting the ceiling quickly sagged upwards and then was torn off. Walls are partially destroyed. Those that previously had some object obscuring them from a direct line of sight with SCP-1703 remain intact. Interestingly, while some windows have shattered from the physical forces following weight reversal of the surrounding architecture, they're all present, have not been affected by SCP-1703. The majority of the club's training equipment is also missing. Few devices hang off exposed beams and support structures that prevent them from falling into the sky. These are identified as being the most significant sources of residual gamma radiation in the area. The staff cafeteria seems to be the least damaged room in the building, where a salad table has been prepared. The cutlery and dishes, food, and the table are fixed to the ceiling. Glasses and drinks are broken and spilled all over the floor. All objects on the ceiling emit trace gamma radiation. The front door, made of glass, appears to have been deformed during structural shocks, such that it became impossible to open. An approximately 30 centimeter by 50 centimeter hole in the door has been made by an object thrown from the inside, as evidenced by broken glass pieces scattered outside. Pieces of clothing, tissue, and blood trailing upwards from the hole indicate that someone attempted to leave the already partially destroyed building through it. No survivors have been found. Persons were detected in Earth's upper stratosphere, gradually accelerating away from the planet, accounting for 86% of the attending club members and staff. The only creature, living or otherwise, recovered from the incident site was a dog that had been tied outside the front door, identified as belonging to a regular of the club. It was kept earthbound and was eventually strangled by its leash. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you like what you hear, head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/KelseyNarrates and help support me by becoming a patron for as little as $3 a month. I'm not going to get rich doing this, but it does take money to keep a podcast running. All patrons get early access to every episode I publish. I don't have the talent it takes to write a skip. All I do is read. Original authors make this podcast possible, so credit to the original author. Their links in the description. Show them some love as well. Consider becoming a member of the SCP Wiki. Upvote their work and maybe write a skip of your own. Maybe I'll read it here someday. You never know if you never try. The content of this podcast and content relating to the SCP Foundation, including the SCP Foundation logo, is licensed under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0, and all concepts originate from scpwiki.com and its authors. This recording, being derived from this content, is hereby also released under Creative Commons Sharealike 3.0.